I remember in one of the videos we were watching, we were talking about the influencer and the decision maker.
Yeah.
Now, if you do get an influencer, how much time do you really spend with them? I mean, as long as they want, or is it like, can we set up let's set up a call with, your husband or your wife or whatever, whoever the decision maker is.
Right.
How far long do you go with the influencer before you try to, because more than likely at the end of that conversation, they're gonna be like, okay, well, let me talk to my husband.
Yeah.
Or let me talk to my wife, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right, so how long do you really spend with them before you try to set up the call?
Oftentimes, at least in the refinance world, you're going to speak with the influencer. You're not going to speak with the decision maker. Even in some cases in purchase, because the influencer is the gatekeeper. They're going to filter out what's worthy of the time of the decision maker, right? So the decision maker, think of them as kind of like the exec of the house, like that. He's the final yes or no. And so it's good practice that when you're doing the initial conversation and you're only speaking to one, that you don't give too much information. Meaning you don't give enough information where the influencer believes there's enough for them to make a decision and go back and try to regurgitate all the information you've shared with that person. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So that's very key. And I think if you can really hone in on that type of method of, think of it as like everyone here watches TV shows here and there, right? Mm-hmm. So right before the TV show goes into the commercial, they kind of build that suspense. Does that make sense? Okay. That's how you should leave them at the time of ending the call. Like, ooh, this is to be determined. Like, ooh, what's going to happen? Does that make sense? And the only way you could do that is if you don't tell them what's going to happen, right? So I guess the best way to do it is you spend as much time as you need, but don't let them exhaust you. So you're still driving the conversation, and you're saying, you know what, that's a great point. Let me go ahead and jot that down, and I'll be sure after I do my research, I'll find out the exact same answer. And so how do we then get the decision maker to be part of the phone conversation without saying, hey, I need them to be on the call? So in the conversation, you're going to pick up on a few things, like what does this decision maker do for a living, right? Because he's part of the income, he's part of the income qualification. And then you also get an idea of their time zone, right? You also have an idea of what they do for a living because you ask them what their title is. So then you can only put 2 and 2 together and say he probably gets off work maybe around 5, 6, 7 o'clock. And so if we want to confirm that and say, okay, you know what, I got a couple ideas. Let me go and put it together. If I can release it to you, I just need your consent so I can send it to you electronically, so I don't need to send it by mail. So if I were to send a request to consent, when would the decision maker be available to consent? That's another way to ask, right? So he says, a decision maker will be here at 6 p.m. to give consent. Okay, cool. So all you need is a tablet or a home computer, and then you guys can give consent real quick. So now I've already gauged what time I should make the call. So now where I think most agents mess up is they'll ask when they're ready. Like when, I'm going to go and put together options. When will you be available? You're leaving it in their court. And they could very well be available in 15 minutes, but it doesn't necessarily mean the decision maker is available in 15 minutes, right? So you're strategically already planning to have both of them. And you can distinguish which one is the influencer and which one is the decision maker. And it's primarily the one who is the income earner, right? The one who makes the money. They're also the one who, sometimes, I don't say that they're the one that handles the bills. Because, like for example, my income, I'm the decision maker, but my wife handles all the bills. I have no idea what our bills are. Right, like I don't sit down, I'll send the bills or anything like that. My job is just to replenish the account. So, but at the end of the day, like it's always going to be her influencing me. So even if I have a feeling about a company, it'll be her like, no, I really like this one. And then of course, happy wife, happy home, right? So okay, cool, let's just do it this one. So we don't end up making a decision that way. But I guess to answer your question is like, in order to maximize on the opportunity of having the influencer, it's your way to understand how the decision maker views things, right? So you can work inside the questions like listen to the way they answer it and say, what areas are you guys looking to move into? Oh, well, we are looking to move into this particular county. Got it. What's the next house have to have? What are the absolute must-haves? oh, my husband wants this, and he wants this, and wants that. Well, you already know to plant seeds on that on the next call. Does that make sense? So when you announce it and the decision maker's on that phone conversation, he's going to be gravitated towards you, and all you did was repeat what she said, right? So those are the things you want to listen out for, not just necessarily on, you guys were trying to get pre-approved for $435,000. This is a personal gain. You got to actually push on things that other LOs are not, and other LOs are not saying the little details of like, hey, I know the school district's important to you, so I want to ensure that when you are shopping, I'm always kept informed so I can help you figure out the school rating of that school system. And we could do that through our property profile reports, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a kind of a leash that you can add on to them. But you want to mention it when it gets down to kind of presenting them with the pre-qual. At your guys' stage right now, you're not necessarily needing that person to be on a line because you're not pitching them yet. Does that make sense? All we're doing is kind of preparing them. But when you communicate with them during their shopping process, the key is to keep them in tune. So you're always front of mind to them. So some key things to do is learn about credit scores. There's a lot of random facts about FICO scores. I'm sure we probably have a lot of resources, but the reason why you want to do this is because there will always be information that you have to check in. So every Friday I have these templates that I'll send out to people already shopping, and it usually sounds something like, hey, I just wanted to wish you happy hunting this weekend. I know you probably got a couple houses lined up. Hey, check out this one fun fact that I knew, and then you can maybe route them back to maybe a blog or something, about FICO scores, or 5 things to do before you choose your home, right? If you don't want to send them, because sometimes when you send them to links or URLs, those URLs are going to have ads and say 30-year fix at 2.2%. Like, ooh, what's this? And then you can actually set them in a trap that way. So be careful with the link that you send them to. Instead, if you want to go the extra mile, which I would strongly recommend, is you curate the information. So a lot of the emails and the messages you guys use per day or every day with your clients is going to be repetitive, right? And so you can actually save these messages as signatures on your email. So instead of retyping it all you got to do is just drop down the signature. And then you could be like week 1 shopping signature, week 2 shopping signature. And so you categorize and put in buckets the people who were pre-qualified this week of the month, and then send them that batch. Does that make sense? So it's immediately going out to them. You BCC all of them. And so you're immediately front of mind. And you will then, of course, not only keep them in tune, but it always has something of like, hey, if you find a house that you really like, let me go ahead and check out the school district because I know that was important to you, right? Or let me go ahead and double check on kind of the neighborhood rating because you said that was important to you. Something that applies to them. Because if they get advertised to another company, you want them to remember you. Like, nah, I already got a relationship with D. Because when they're going in, that's really when they're talking about business, right? Like when they're out, and it's really the only times that they can be swayed is during the weekends. During the week, usually they're kind of just built up with work and family and all that good stuff, right? But when it comes to the weekend, then their whole focus is on buying a home. Their whole focus is on advertisements from TV and stuff like that. Does that make sense? Yeah. So to maximize your usage of the time that you're with a decision influencer, make sure you're using them as kind of a gateway to learn about the decision maker. But know that they're the decision influencer. Don't talk down to them as if they don't matter, because they do, right? Yeah. So just be very persuasive that way.